Comencem aquesta segona part de la sessió d'avui, que pivotarà sobre la implementació. M'he descuidat de dir abans quin luxe que és tenir l'Anna Moreno de moderadora. No hi he posat suficient èmfasi i em disculpo, però vull dir, tenir aquí algú que ha estat activament participant en Hàbitat 3, home, és tot un luxe, per tant, gràcies, Anna. I tal com dèiem, jo crec que la implementació presenta molts reptes, tots en som perfectament conscients. Alguns d'aquests reptes s'han esmentat abans, jo només els anuncio i callo i me'n vaig, però que serien, per una banda, l'ancoratge legislatiu, l'ancoratge normatiu legislatiu, aquest és un grandíssim i un enorme repte, la capacitat de capil·laritzar dins dels instruments de planificació i dels nivells de govern, és a dir, com de les estratègies i del disseny de les grans estratègies arribem fins als implementadors, que en són molts. Un tema que no s'ha parlat massa, però jo crec que és important, que és el pressupost. Hi ha pressupost per a les agendes urbanes? Vull dir, a veure, al final les polítiques públiques no només van de canvis legislatius, sinó que s'han de finançar canvis que més volem que siguin canvis transformadors, canvis, per tant, amb un nivell d'ambició important. I finalment, un element que s'esmentava des de la Diputació de Barcelona abans, que era el seguiment, el monitoratge i l'avaluació. Correm el risc de tenir moltes agendes i de no saber exactament si aquestes agendes es parlen. Tenim un mecanisme metodològic i hi ha la voluntat que aquestes agendes es parlin i que per tant tinguem un monitoratge a temps real de quin és el nivell d'implementació. Bé, tot això són algunes de les preguntes que jo no volia deixar de fer, però que segur que l'Anna desenvoluparà en el seu panel. Per tant, Anna, tot teu.
Moltíssimes gràcies, Marc. I efectivament, jo crec que aquests dos últims temes, el de pressupost i el de monitoratge, segurament seran els més importants en aquesta taula d'implementació, entre d'altres que ja hem vist, de multinivell, del marc legislatiu, la participació i altres aspectes. Tenim fins a 2:15 per aquesta segona taula. Com us deia, la Dàlia d'Izmir no pot acompanyar-nos, fins i tot el seu vol no arribarà a temps per poder estar en la part de debat, lamentablement. Jo potser faig menció al cas, perquè jo crec que és interessant en algun moment de la conversa, però sí que tenim amb nosaltres a dues persones molt importants, el Nasir, Abdallah Mohammad Qandeel, que és de l'Urban Observatori of Amman of the Greater Amman Municipality. Thank you, Nasir. Thank you for joining us. And we also have Monica Vicentin from the Union of Municipalities of Romagna and Faentina, region of Emilia-Romagna, Italy. Thank you. And Carmen, we are going to ask you to join us again, because we don't want to have that empty seat, and aún queremos más de ti. Adelante. Thank you so much. Allow me first to introduce a bit Nasir. He's the head of the Statistical Analysis Division at Amman Urban Observatory in Amman, in Jordan, since 2010. And he has a PhD degree in Mathematics and Statistics since 2013. And he will explain to us all his experience, especially monitoring. So I know that is going to be one of the topics that we are going to discuss. And then Monica, a pleasure to have you here. And she holds a degree in political science with an international specialization from the University of Bologna. And she's working in the Union of Municipalities of Romagna Faentina, and we will see that has the expertise also of the urban agenda of the European Union, the funding from the European Union, and we will see some of these aspects that we were mentioning with Mark about the funding that we require for the urban agendas. Okay. So we are going to follow the same blocks that we had this in the first session. That means the first one about the context, territories, governance. The second one, let's go to explain a bit more the projects, and then challenges. And the third block, it's going to be on lessons learned and vectors for acceleration. And with that, I would like, let's see if it's here. Let me just check. To pass the floor to Nasir. I think we will start with you, then Monica, and then Carmen. If you don't mind, we will ask you to be a bit of even pose questions to our colleagues. Since you want to provoke today, I think it's going to be interesting that if you don't mind. I think it's interesting. There was also some pending questions there. Mark was asking a question that it was not answered, and I'm sure we will have a bit more of conversation that we had in the first one, because now we are all ready for more conversation. So let's start, Nasir. Let me see if it's there, since I'm the one holding this one. Let's see. I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah, I haven't translated.
You don't have translation?
Okay.
My English is quite Spanglish. Huh? I mean, it's kind of... it's not difficult to understand. Okay, fantastic. Okay. So Nasir, explain us a bit more about Amman and about the context in which you develop your...
Thank you, and hello, my colleagues, audience. I'm glad to be here for the second time in Barcelona, really, to share Amman's experience in implementing the new urban agenda and accelerate localization of SDGs. So I'm glad to be here for the second time. Amman is the capital of Jordan, is one of the dynamic cities in the Middle East that keep pace with the global changes and cooperate with the Middle East cities and Mediterranean cities in the Mediterranean region. The city has actively participated in global agendas such as 2030 for sustainable development. Also, the city launched its first voluntary local review as the first Arab country or city, in parallel with the second voluntary national review, demonstrating its commitments in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Really, this initiative involves comprehensive reporting to Sustainable Development Goals and demonstrating and emphasizing the areas like education and gender equality, also environmental sustainability. Really, several strategic initiatives are underway in the city of Amman to achieve sustainable development goals. One of these initiatives is the Green City Action Plan. Also, smart city initiatives are implemented and resilience projects and infrastructure projects like the bus rapid transit system and the sanitary landfill development. These projects are aimed to improve the urban development mobility and waste management. Now about the city of Amman.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was going to ask about that. You saw my face like, explain.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
The city of Amman consists of 22 districts or municipalities with about 800 square kilometers. The population in the city is about 4.2 million. Really, in the year 2014, the population of Amman city was 2.6 million. After census, in 2015, after 1 year, the population total are 4.1. In 1 year, duplicate of population after the census implemented. About 36 of population are refugees. the city population represented about 42% of the country's total population. Greater Amman municipality, which known by GAM, is the government of the city of Amman. The age of GAM is about 100 years. The first municipality established in 1909 with population about 65,000. Now 4.2 million in this year. GAM operates independently. This means that it has own instructions, rules, and budget. Governed by the city council, consists of 42 members. About 6 of them are women. Also, there are about 23,000 employers and workers in GAM, distributed in 6 sectors. One of them is the planning sector. The main goals of GAM is to improving the services for the resident of Amman and enhancing the quality of life, also promoting green growth and addressing the climate change. About planning, there are 4 departments working in a plan in the city. The first department is the strategic plan department and comprehensive department, GIS, Geographic Information System, and Amman Urban Observatory. Those 4 departments work under the umbrella of GAM Strategic Plan 2022-2026. This strategic plan has priorities related to climate change, population growth, water scarcity, and regional unrest. Also, the increasing costs of energy and limited area for agriculture.
Thank you so much, Nasir. We will come back to know a bit more about all the things that you are doing. Monica, context and a bit of a really specific and unique case. So I'm really pleased to have you here and that you can explain to us that the specificity and uniqueness that you have.
I'm very pleased to be here. Thank you for invitation, for inviting us, and thank you to the Generalitat, to the Director General and to the Councillor who were here today. And thank you also to Emilia-Romagna region who suggested us to take part to this event. In this perspective, I will try to give you the point of view of a local government, a peculiar government because actually union of municipalities are quite young. They were established in Italy by a national law, constitutional law in 2012. And since then, they had a very peculiar road as they were meant to be a new way of organizing the institutional level and to replace, let me say like that, to replace provinces. That is Diputación in Spain, I guess. Actually, through a referendum, this reform didn't continue, was stopped. So at present, we have one more level, thank you, of government, of local government in Italy. And so we have municipality, union of municipalities, departments, region, and then government. Just to give you an idea of how it is organized. In our case, we have also to say that Emilia-Romagna region was supporting the creation of these associations, and at present there is a law, a regional law, regulating the organization of association in the region, and at present we have 43 union of municipalities covering the whole area that you can see over there, with different abilities and different organization. In our case, we have an association of municipality which was established in 2012 and which developed a very peculiar way for its organization, because the 6 mayors at that period decided to organize, to develop their context with a peculiar structure. They decided that in 2-3 years, all people working in their municipalities and all function of the municipalities were to be transferred to the union. This means that at present, municipalities do not have staff, and all policies are, and the implementation of the policies are developed and managed by the union. This gave the union a very peculiar opportunity to change the mind of the municipality. It gave strength because the mayors represent a wider territory than the one that they were ruling as single municipalities, and thought that they could share forces to improve the services that they were delivering to the people living in their area. This is the reason why after the conclusion of this transferring process from the municipality to the union, that they thought that they need to give a vision, a perspective, a role, a mission to the union. And this is why we took, when we decided to, they decided and we did, to define a strategic plan that contained the vision. This strategic plan, the idea was started in 2018, and the document was accomplished in 2020 and approved from the councils of the municipalities and of the union. This is important because as a vision, as a strategic mandate, it gives main axis of development, main goals to be reached, that is to give citizens better services, more quality, and a way to be more to find more cohesion and more inclusion for the people living in there. This is also due to the fact that we have a geographical difference. We have hills and plain, so with different peculiarities and needs. But this gave the opportunity to define a common way, a common route, and to stay at a quite general level. Only key actions were defined, and the implementation was to be defined in a more operational document. So that's...
Thank you. Thank you, Monica. We will come back, obviously, in the second question. And I will move perhaps to Nasir to develop specifically what you were saying about monitoring, and I think it's interesting that you were referring already to the first voluntary local review, and it's something that has been mentioned also about the context between the local and the global agendas. If there is, what is the context also of that, of that exercise that the local governments are doing to fulfill a global agenda, SDGs, New Urban Agenda. So if you can explain to us what are you doing, and what have been the main challenges for you?
Yeah. As I said before, that the GAM launched the first voluntary local review in parallel with the second voluntary national review. The first voluntary national review was launched at 2017. We face many challenges when we beginning to preparing to the launching the first and second voluntary local review and voluntary national reviews. The first one is the increasing of the city population. As I said before, that in 2014 the population was 2.6, and after 1 year 4 million. This is a big problem for the city that has about 800 square kilometers. Really, the regional crisis in the Middle East led waves of immigrants from the neighborhood countries to the Jordan. Those immigrants and those refugees affected the old infrastructure in the city of Amman. The infrastructure is about 100 years and established for, I said before, 65,000 population. Now, the same infrastructure for 4 million people. Those refugees are about 36% of the city population, comprising Arab countries from Syrian, from Palestine, from Iraqi, and Chechens and Circassians that most of them settled in the city of Amman. We have about 1.3 million of refugees, just Syrian refugees in the country. Majority of them settled in the city of Amman. Also, we have about 600,000 of Palestinians in the city of Amman. About 200,000 of Iraqi in the city. Really, GAM services the resident of the city without discrimination of their nationality. The second challenge is the climate change. Amman, as the majority of global countries, facing climate change impact, like rising temperature, heat waves, flash floods, and unpredictable rainfall. In these days, in Amman, the temperature is about 42 Celsius. This is the first year that this temperature rising in the city. In average, the temperature is about 32, 30 in summer. Now, 42. So we're really facing the climate change impact. In 2019, the recent flash floods happened in the city of Amman. This flash floods caused damage and material losses in the downtown area of the city. The third challenge the lack of data. One of the most difficult issues facing assessment the new urban agendas and voluntary local reviews, voluntary national reviews, is the lacking of data. Because of this raw data or is not available to the stakeholders sources, or it needs a survey or census. The census implemented in Jordan every 10 years. So you want to wait for 10 years to take the accurate of data. In addition, information or data related to the refugees. As I said, 36% are refugees. This data about refugees is not available or not accurate because maybe of political issues. These three challenges that the majority facing working in implementing new urban agendas, reports, and voluntary local reviews of the city.
Thank you so much, Nasir. And Monica, allow me to start changing things around because I think in this point I would like to then connect with Carmen because we are coming from the round table about planning and data was not really mentioned there. I mean, obviously it was, but I would really like to understand from your point of view, you have the experience of 30 years, about the challenge of data, like lack of data at the local level, gender sensitive, age sensitive. I mean, how to plan, yeah, not to implement or to monitor, but how to plan, and which is the role of the new technologies, which are the challenges, why we are not getting that data. From your experience, coming from the planning, and then we will go further in terms of data for implementation. But if you don't mind to develop a bit more your opinion about the lack of data.
Yo creo que esa es una de las claves que decía antes. Cuando propones hacer un plan estratégico, una agenda urbana, ese ciclo que decía que tienes que en el diseño ver qué va a pasar en la ejecución y a quién vas a necesitar y cómo vas a sacar la financiación para hacer lo que quieres hacer, también en el diseño entra la evaluación, cómo voy a medir los resultados de mi proceso. Y eso, si lo haces al principio, todo el tiempo que estás invitando a actores, los estás involucrando también en aportarte información. Y nosotros siempre, desde que iniciamos el proceso, una de las primeras cosas que hacemos es identificar qué datos hay disponibles de la temática que estamos trabajando, en fuentes oficiales, por supuesto. Pero es que muchas veces los datos están en fuentes que no son oficiales. Entonces, por ejemplo, en temas sociales, nosotros trabajamos mucho con actores y colectivos y asociaciones que, a su vez, son los que están en contacto directo con los colectivos a los que queremos llegar. Y a lo mejor al principio el tipo de información que obtenemos es muy parcial, pero a medida que vas sumando, con parciales obtienes totales. Entonces, por ejemplo, en el tema social, nuestra experiencia es que puedes hacer una aproximación indirecta siempre, por ejemplo, quieres medir la pobreza, puedes utilizar datos de renta, que a lo mejor sí te vienen por fuentes estadísticas o de Hacienda o a nivel estatal, pero también puedes ir contactando con colectivos que trabajan con gente que vive en la pobreza y ellos aportarte una vez al año y generar con ellos una dinámica, unos protocolos que a su vez van sumando. De hecho, en Málaga, por ejemplo, el área de derechos sociales, a raíz de esta realidad, empezaron ellos a generar una cosa que se llaman las agrupaciones de desarrollo, que son colectivos que trabajan, o sea, asociaciones que trabajan con determinados colectivos, que unen esfuerzos y comparten información. Entonces, eso se lo trasladan al área de derechos sociales y, por ejemplo, ahí hay colectivos que trabajan, o sea, asociaciones que trabajan en bancos de alimentos. Entonces, ellos saben a cuántas familias están atendiendo y en qué condiciones. Comparten esa información, la unifican y se la pasan al área de derechos sociales. A su vez, el área suma con otras agrupaciones de desarrollo y al final obtienen una foto que no es la foto ideal porque no está completa, pero es una primera foto de verdad ¿De dónde están la gente que necesita o sea, de primera necesidad? Están al punto que tienen que acudir a alguien para poder alimentarse, ¿no? Entonces, bueno, pues eso en nuestro caso, la función ¿cuál es? Pues ir sumando actores. Entonces, ahora estamos metidos en el tema del agua y el agua, no sé muy bien aquí cómo funcionáis, pero nosotros tenemos desde mancomunidades de municipios que trabajan, tienen delegado por los pequeños municipios la gestión del agua, consorcios de diputación que también tienen delegado municipios menores de 20.000 habitantes la gestión del agua, operadores que trabajan directamente con el gobierno regional al que se le concede el agua en alta, operadores que trabajan el agua en baja, municipios que son suficientemente grandes y han creado empresas municipales de gestión del agua. Entonces, ahora mismo, por ejemplo, estamos sumando en un sistema de información geográfica, ideamos plantillas comunes, repartimos esas plantillas, nos pasan las plantillas y las pasamos todas a un sistema de información para que entre todos construyamos el inventario real de recursos que tenemos para luego poder generar la estrategia de explotación. Entonces, bueno, fundamental.
Perfecto.
Los datos.
Gracias. Regresaremos al tema de los datos, también datos de impacto. Mónica, you want to say something about data too? Huh? Go ahead, go ahead.
But it's just to add something.
Yes, sure, sure.
Because monitoring, as also Carmen said, is very important overall the process, planning, implementing, monitoring and evaluating. But there's also a double plan, because on the one side you have output, data, and that's I don't say easier, but it's related to something that you produce, let's say like that. But when you have to evaluate the impact of your policies, this has to do also with the governance that you have at the institutional level. For example, when we talk about SDGs, each level gives a contribution to implementing the SDGs at different scale. So it is necessary to share in the institutional chain which are the SDGs, we are the shared goals, and how to work in such direction to implement them and to contribute to their implementation, just to make it more complex.
I'm sure Nasir will explain us a bit more. Like,
something about that. We are working in Amman Urban Observatory since 15 years old for collecting and producing the urban indicators. From that time, we faced really a big problem with collecting data, because the data may be at the national level. So you want to make regression or to make something to be at the city level, especially in the finance data. In Amman, GAM is not working in the finance and the services and the enhancing the quality of life, but not in the finance, not in the education, not in electricity. So there are many entities working in these data, from the ministries of education, Ministry of Work, and the Ministry of Finance. Really, the finance indicators make a headache for us in the city of Amman. Also, we want to take the raw data from multiple stakeholders. You find the number is not same. Monica, I think you're laughing about that because really, yeah. So you want to make something to be this indicators real, and because now we are working at the global level, so your indicators values must be accurate. Yeah. About solving this problem, the GAM decision makers recently strongly support the Amman Urban Observatory, which is the only observatory in the city and in the country. This observatory tasked with collecting and analyzing the raw data to producing the urban indicators. According to many agendas like UN Habitat Agenda, there's about 89 indicators, urban indicators. Also, UKID Agenda, which has about 29 indicators. World Council on City Data Agenda included about 100 indicators. Also, recently we worked in Urban Monitoring Framework Agenda in the city of Amman. A data hub was established in the city of Amman. Before 2023, our work saved in a local servers. So every researcher or planner on data, he must come to the building of Urban Observatory to take the wanted data. But now he can go to a hub or a platform in this year, 2024, to get the data and this data is good for providing the planners and decision makers by accurate urban indicators and analytical reports. Additionally, the Ministry of Municipalities in Jordan was established a national urban observatory. This urban observatory provides the necessary data for measuring the sustainable development goals. Besides that, many agreements or data exchange agreements signed between GAM and other municipalities and entities in the city, like Department of Statistics, which is the central department in the country. Also, 2 agreements signed between Greater Amman Municipality with electricity company and water company. These agreements really enhancing exchange data between GAM and the private sector. Cooperation with all government entities and private sector and social society, international organizations underscores an inclusive approach aligned with new urban agendas. This ensuring different voices contribute to Amman's sustainable development efforts. Yeah.
Thank you, Nasir. And before to pass the floor really to understand better Monica's presentation, I just want to connect our conversation also with the one this morning about the functional urban areas, because there is also, especially from your Habitat, the Monitoring Urban Framework, the willingness to start measuring the impact beyond. So first of all, of course, the challenge of the local level data, but then to go beyond those administrative borders and to see that functional urban areas also from the data perspective. So I just want to mention, because obviously the complexity, it's growing, but it's connected also to what we were mentioning this morning in the planning. Monica, from your side, what are you doing and what are the main challenges that you would like to share with us?
Well, I think that talking about urban agenda, as was discussed this morning, we can say that in our area, local agenda is one way to implement our strategic plan. Then we can say that it is an operational strategy, to concretely implement the goals that are given. But it has been hard to be considered in this opportunity, because we talk in our territory, when we talk about urban agenda, we talk about local development. And this is also the same for the region, and it is connected, strictly connected with the elaboration and implementation of ERD funds in the various planning period. When Romagna Faentina established itself as a union, that is in 2020, we were in the preparation phase of the new programming period for ERDF, and for this reason we had already started a dialogue with the region to share the fact that our area, our territory was a real urban area with peculiarities, with some, it was not exactly a city, but it was like a city. So the debate went on, and at last we were included in the urban agenda along with the 10 department cities that were already included in 2014, 2020. So it was a great success because it gave us the opportunity to define a strategy of urban implementation, urban assets and projects to be realized, which was aligned with the objectives and the goals that the region has set for the urban area of the region as a whole. So we defined what is called an agenda, that is a plan in which main aims are set, and where all the actors of the different provinces dialogue within themselves. We have the same format that say we all have to we had to prepare plans with strategic vision, coherence between the strategic documents of the region and of the territory, demonstrating that these vision are coherent with EU main goals of the period and also with SDGs, and how concretely we were implementing our strategy in the period with the financing of the region, what we were going to do concretely, and if possible, which were the coherence with other intervention, concrete intervention, infrastructures, welfare policies, etc., which were co-financed with other national or EU fundings. So we had worked on that. We had our urban agenda approved, and we are now implementing it. Of course, it's a very varied implementation process because we have different kind of projects. We have the refurbishment of buildings, cultural buildings with large, different millions of budget, but we have also welfare project for example, an agency for facilitating the search of housing, because it's not simple, but we also have digital activities, and we are on the way. We have really started, and we are presenting our first implementation relation by the end of this month, so we are getting on.
But Monica, a couple of questions. You were mentioning in your presentation primary challenges: recognition, organization, human resources. What are you referring to? Because you were explaining before all the changes that have become with the union. So just to understand those challenges.
Recognition, that's what I just mentioned, that is the dialogue between the union and the region to be recognized as a single, as a city, let's say. They say scattered urban area. To do that, it is fundamental, the organization and the competences of the people working on that. This is internal stakeholder and the involvement of people working in that. Of course, the creation of a new organization had an impact on the staff. Many activities, mere competencies have changed. Just think for what happens for a small organization like a municipality of 2,000 inhabitants, 15 people working there, to change its mind, to consider itself within a larger organization. Now we are 500, so it changed a lot, and it has been a process also in this, but the process has been designed, the implementation following the design needed to be adapted, and the people had to be motivated to do, because they were saying, why we are doing this? What happens to me? I'm going to be in an unknown world. What am I supposed to do? So these are very challenging items, and it is important to bring people understand what happens. Communication is fundamental. We had a support, an external support to our project to manage the change management, but also helping us in communicating better with the outside, with the stakeholders, but also inside. So these are the challenges that we faced.
Great. Second question, just to understand what you are already in the first implementation phase. You want to do you are preparing the report. Should we assume that the European Union funding is the main financing mechanism, or which others are you? You don't need to detail all of them, but the ones that you would like to share that could be scalable or replicable for others.
Actually, in our experience, EU is the main origin of funding. Yes, but what is important is to understand that there are some projects that can be funded through structural funds. Others can be funded with other EU funds, for example, European programs, or cooperation, transnational cooperation projects. This is a very wide variety that you can apply to in order to have your ideas, your project funded. Of course, you also have a different impact. So it depends on what you want to do. It's really similar to what Carmen was explaining. This is the approach that we are trying to set up to follow. Yeah. It's not easy, but we can manage.
Always optimistic. If you don't mind also changing the turn and everything, but Carmen, on this topic, on financing, yes. Obviously it's one of the key topics. We have already identified governance, we are identifying data, others will come. At the end of the day, we will have some with the conclusions. What is your experience on that? Where is the public-private partnership? How do you approach that? Obviously, European Union, in the ones that we are in the European Union, and I will ask later to Nasir also to reflect about their context. But for you, again, Carmen, your opinion about that challenge that we have all in terms of funding opportunities and funding mechanism.
Yo antes dije que la gobernanza era como de boutique y no de prêt-à-porter, y la financiación le pasa lo mismo. Cuando tú tienes un proyecto y necesitas financiarlo, lo primero es que tienes que tener una buena idea y convertir esa buena idea en un buen proyecto. Si consigues eso, la financiación va a venir. Ahora, no todos los momentos, marcos temporales son buenos para esas buenas ideas y buenos proyectos. Hay marcos temporales que te permiten hacer unas cosas y otros marcos que te permiten otras. Entonces, nuestra experiencia es que cuando estás diseñando una agenda urbana y estás en el periodo de planificación, es muy importante identificar cuáles son esos marcos temporales, las líneas de financiación posibles que ahora mismo tienes abiertas en un marco europeo, pero también en un marco internacional. E incluso hay veces que lo que necesitas es una buena financiación, o sea, no que te den el dinero, sino el que puedas en el tiempo programar la inversión que tienes que realizar. Y eso también existen opciones. Y luego está la posibilidad siempre de la colaboración público-privada, que es lo que nosotros intentamos bajo cualquier situación y proyecto, es identificar actores privados que pueden tener interés en determinadas acciones. Ya, como digo, es que es súper preparado y no preta-porté, es que tienes que trabajar en cada proyecto para saber cómo vas a abordar la financiación, igual que vas a abordar la gobernanza, va unido.
Nasir, I don't know if you want to add something about financing, but if not, we can move to the next one. But obviously your context is different. In fact, the multi-level also, the optimizing resources, that's something that has been obviously, you know, different departments being less sectorial, more transversal. So that's another always topic on these discussions. I don't know if you want, because you are not European Union, so what is your opinion from there?
The budget of CAM is about half of billion dinars, Jordan dinars. It's about 600 million. Half of this budget goes to employees' salary.
Yeah.
So I think there is no money for implementing like this projects in the city. But this is a realist that UN bodies like UN Habitat, SQA, UNDP, implementing many projects or supporting the city strongly for this project, like the first voluntary local view is supported by SQA and UN Habitat. Yeah. So a great thanks for the UN bodies and the Union Bank, European Bank, supported the municipality of Amman for many projects. Also, Bloomberg organization supported GAM with by about 2 million to implement the project. Amman is listening. So really we have supporting, but not from the national level or local level in the city.
Great, thank you. So last block to present to us a bit of the lessons learned and obviously what I call vectors for acceleration, that it could be insights and recommendations, but how do you see the future in that part of the recommendations and insights?
Yes. Really the first lesson is to necessity to strengthen the relationship among data producers in the city. This is very important. Our work emphasizes the importance of strong partnership between ministries, government entities, private sector, social society, NGOs, international organizations, and UN bodies. The second thing is the slogan, leaving no one behind. This is the slogan of New Urban Agenda. Really, it's implemented when we were working in preparation for VNRs and VLRs. About 58 partners included in the working of VNRs in the country. Also about 105 of partners sharing and working together to implement the first voluntary local review and reviewing the results and output of this voluntary local review. So I think it's a great job for us, for a small city. Also, the third thing is the using international standards for data production and management. Amman Urban Observatory has achieved ISO 37120 level platinum certification for accurate and high quality data. This ISO awarded from World Council on city data for 3 years. So it is push us to the front. Also, a committee recently was established by GAM to establish a data governance plan. This plan aims to organize the management according the best practice of international standards like DAMA and COBIT standards. We're working in this committee, the Urban Observatory. So it's great for us if it's completed its work to get these standards in collecting and management the data in Greater Amman municipality, because data is distribution between different departments in GAM. If one planners or student wants data, when he comes to GAM, they told him, go to Amman Urban Observatory. Go to GIS. GIS said, there's no data about that. Go to another department. In these days or recently, any student, planners, decision maker want any information from GAM, firstly must visit Amman Urban Observatory. After that, if the data is available in the database of Amman Urban Observatory, we give him this data. Else, we write official letters to our stakeholders to collect this data and give the one who want to planning or to implementing a study at the city level. Also, enhancing initiatives in a strategic plan that mitigate the efforts of the climate change. In this regard, 4 policies and plans implemented in GAM, or in the national level, sorry. The first one is climate change policy, green growth policy, also the climate change adaptation plan in 2021, and finally the national greenhouse gases inventory policy was implemented at a national level.
Thank you. And I can see that one of the recommendations also it's connected to this risk hub that Amman Urban Observatory Risk Hub. And I remember, Carmen, in a conversation with you, you mentioned to me, apologies for because it was a private conversation, but anyway, that you are working now in this risk, how to introduce the risk into the strategic planning even the crisis, so that the short term, the long term. So I don't know, I would like to, before I close with Monica for this third block, I would like to understand a bit more about this concept of risk and crisis in the implementation of the urban agendas and all the work that you are starting to do, no?
Sí, es una preocupación que tenemos porque cuando generas estos ciclos que decíamos de política pública, tú haces tu diseño, planificación, ejecución, medición para evaluar dónde has llegado y vuelves a empezar el ciclo, ¿no? Nuestra experiencia es que eso nos pasó con el primer plan. En el año 96 terminamos el plan, empezamos la implementación, lo evaluamos, dijimos, oye, aquí hemos fallado en cosas, hacemos segundo plan. ¿Qué sucede? Hacemos un segundo plan y en mitad de que estamos dándole vuelta a la rueda, crisis. Y entonces, para salir de la crisis, tenemos que hacer una replanificación y rediseño de lo que estábamos haciendo. Entonces, la rueda que era así, de pronto le sale como otra pequeña rueda que tienes que también hacer girar para que la rueda grande funcione. Terminamos ya con la pequeña rueda, completamos el ciclo del segundo plan y decimos, venga, diseño al 2020, empezamos la rueda. Y ahora el COVID. Entonces, plan de reactivación para el COVID, nueva rueda pequeñita que tienes que de nuevo hacer girar y entonces que nos damos cuenta que al final siempre y cada vez es más rápido la necesidad de adaptarte a la situación. Entonces, el cambio climático que vivimos y que se está acelerando, entendemos que debería formar parte de esa rueda grande de planificación estratégica que estamos haciendo, mientras que estamos tendiendo más a hacer un plan de adaptación y mitigación de cambio climático y luego, adicional, un plan estratégico o una agenda urbana que lo tiene en cuenta pero no lo incorpora en su rueda, no forma parte de la manera de trabajar y de la metodología de trabajo habitual. Entonces, para nosotros ahora eso es como un gran reto. Como una metodología de política pública que ya tenemos todos más o menos sabida, que puede llamarse plan estratégico, agenda urbana o lo que se llame, porque al final todo el mismo perro pero con distinto collar, cómo este perro de verdad lo transformamos ante algo tan global que nos afecta a todos a nivel planetario, que es todos esos riesgos que tenemos, toda esa transformación tan grandísima que supone ese impacto, ¿no? Entonces, bueno, pues ahí estamos viendo precisamente con un nuevo hábitat que tiene muy buenas metodologías para planes de resiliencia ante el cambio climático, que valora muy bien, o sea, sopesa muy bien riesgos, vulnerabilidades, etcétera, como todo eso se incorpora a lo que ya la mayoría conocemos como una metodología estratégica de transformación. Entonces, bueno, pues estamos ahí en ese proceso porque efectivamente requiere nuevos tipos de gobernanza, nuevos tipos de análisis, nuevos tipos de datos y al final, bueno, sí quería añadir al debate que teníamos aquí que para nosotros, al final, los datos pueden describir una situación, pero lo interesante de los datos es convertirlo en indicadores que te ayuden a medir. Y ahí hace falta siempre que tu información esté vinculada a unos objetivos. Nosotros tuvimos una época en que éramos grandes recolectores de datos y cada dato que llegaba a nuestras manos ahí a la base de datos. Nuestro alcalde nos preguntaba, ¿y cuántos indicadores tenemos ya para medir los objetivos de desarrollo sostenible? Yo le decía 183, al año siguiente 215 y luego dijimos, vamos a ver, ¿para qué queremos tantos datos? Si lo importante de verdad es decir, este es mi objetivo y lo mido con este, con este y con este. Y eso es lo que tengo como que los cuadros de mando. Muchos datos, muy bien, pero a lo mejor nosotros, la situación contraria a la vuestra, que ya llega un momento que tienes tantos datos que dices, vamos a ver si lo que hay que poner es un orden, es usarlos, es que sirvan realmente para algo.
Perfecto. Mónica, last round for you about lessons learned and recommendations, and then we will hopefully get a few questions from the audience.
Yes, what we have learned is that it's important to have a vision for a local authority, also at local level. It's important to know where to go, which are the goals that are necessary to establish. in a long period, not the short term, but give ourselves enough time to think on the evolution and to give the possibility to pass to implementation. So, and to know in which context we are. Of course, if we talk about European Union, all local governments are fully in the EU policies. So, but also SDGs are important. So it's important to have an idea of what is going on and which are the global challenges, and to set our own strategies. After that, you are aware of what you are, and then you think how you can implement, how you can customize your local strategy in coherence with the global asset. And this, I know, it's very, very close to what Carmen was saying. It's the same. And that's what we have experienced in these 10 years. Of course, implementation is step by step, which gives also the flexibility to adapt if there's something unexpected that occurs. COVID, for example, or also climate change, major events that can affect the area, have an impact on your planning, even if it is long term. So if you have main vision and step-by-step implementation strategy, you can more easily adapt your implementation strategy to what is happening and concentrate on the event. And another important key element is the holistic approach. Sectorial planning is important, but nowadays complexity is such that you cannot consider only energy efficiency without taking care of welfare problem or housing or inclusion. So when you plan, you need to have a a cross-cutting approach in order to consider the different perspectives of the issue, and then that communication is another key to be not only to be transparent but also to engage citizens and the structures that are involved, because if they are not, they can block and try to understand better or maybe misunderstand what you are doing. So these are the main lessons. And you asked for recommendation. It's hard to do because
You are listening.
Bring all of them, no?
But well, actually, recommendations are very close to the lessons learned. Planning, have a vision, plan, make plan, long term, and is important. And be aware of the context in where you are, and then find out the key stakeholders and involve them. You have, as I said, staff, but also administration, politicians are important, and they not always are aware of the strategic planning, which is not exactly the same of their mandate plans. So it's important that they are coherent, or at least they set different priorities, but the way is that one. And dialogue, institutional dialogue, sharing objectives and recognizing each other is a way to better cooperate, to better plan, and to exchange experience and face same challenges and find common solution. at last, I think that these occasions like this are really important and useful, because sometimes you find that abroad they are in the same field that you are, challenges are common, that practices are similar, and it is strength for each other to recognize this.
Thank you, Monica. And before to pass the floor and to open the floor for the audience, perhaps in that part of communications and participation, because in the planning session there was already some mentions to participation, but as you said, Carmen, which participation, in which moment? There is a participation fatigue of just being asked at the beginning of a process, and then what else is happening? And the communications also, it looks like that is only one way, and using concepts that the citizens are not yet interiorized in terms of sustainable urban development. So is there any mechanism that you have seen, not even in your practice, perhaps in all over the world, in your different travels that you go around, that you have identified as a good practice in terms of ensuring participation in the whole process, in the implementation, or even to engage this communications part, or to share with citizens more about the relevance of territorial planning, of sustainable urban development, anything? And if not, it's okay. We will but if you have something, I would really like for you to share with us any idea or any mechanism that you have seen. Nasir, something from your side?
I want to talk about that. The beginning is from the decision makers or high level management. If the high level management said it must be done, and I think all departments, all partners work together to implement the thing that we want. Also, I want to say in this regard, in last summer, we went we participated in the Sustainable Development Summit that held in New York. The sad news, one of this summit output is about 15% was implemented or achieving of SDGs until 2023. So we have 7 years, but we do not have 85% to achieve until 2030. I emphasize that countries and cities really work together to accelerate localization of the SDGs, because it's very, very important for cities and for countries. Also, the cooperation between all entities, private sectors, NGOs, is very important to reach what we want to do. Another thing, I want to say that the VLRs or VNRs learned us lessons in cooperation with our partners in the city. And the VLR must contain a success stories that implemented by the city or the country, and initiatives, policies, strategies. Really, about one initiative that we implemented in Amman city is the Amman Urban Observatory Risk Platform. Yeah. This initiative is a pioneer idea for us to monitoring and analyzing risks at the level of districts or municipalities in the city. I mean by risks, At the beginning, we took the snow falling, a flash of floods, falling electricity columns, because before 2 years, the snow falling in Amman and majority of electricity columns falling down. So after that, all partners from GAM and electricity company and the national government works together to make or to put the ideas to prevent this doing again. The last thing that I want to say that really I recommend for the cities or the countries that want to beginning implementing their voluntary local reviews and voluntary national reviews is cooperation, is strengthening the relation between all players in the city. And VLR maybe include their participation or participatory, evidence-based, and full alignment with VNRs. And it must be actionable. Yeah, this is what I want to say.
Thank you, Nasir. Thank you. While you think, you have one? Fantástico.
Precisamente en comunicación, yo creo que es uno de los grandes retos que tenemos hoy día en todos estos procesos, porque en comunicación tú sabes que tienes que definir un receptor de lo que, o sea, lo primero es el receptor, a quién me voy a dirigir, después en función de a quién me voy a dirigir elijo el emisor, quién va a hablar, luego el mensaje lo preparo para que el receptor lo reciba y el emisor esté cómodo diciéndolo, y luego elijo el canal también que voy a utilizar, y eso también me hace modificar mi mensaje. O sea, eso es la base de cualquier plan de comunicación. Pero ¿qué pasa hoy día? Hoy día lo que tú haces de esta manera luego es replicado de muchas maneras, porque antes como que estaba más claro quiénes eran esos canales y quiénes eran esos altavoces de lo que tú querías decir, pero hoy día se replica, se tuerce, se modifica, se convierte en noticia falsa. Entonces nosotros ahí vemos que nos cuesta mucho trabajo conseguir que cuando tú lanzas lo que quieres decir, piensas que lo has hecho bien, porque has elegido bien tu público y quién lo va a decir y el mensaje y el canal. Nosotros funcionamos con LinkedIn o con Instagram, pensamos que vamos bien orientados, pero luego de pronto empieza la cosa a liarse, terminas con el Twitter y dices, Dios mío. O sea, creo que es uno de los grandes retos, tener buenos profesionales de cómo funciona hoy día el mundo de las redes de comunicación. Y nosotros no hemos dado con la clave, que si alguno la da, nos gustaría también saberlo, porque conocemos experiencias puntuales en temas muy puntuales y dirigidos a públicos muy concretos. Por ejemplo, trabajando con gente más joven, con niños, como muy seleccionado, resulta más sencillo, pero lo que nosotros hacemos, que es una cosa que queremos que llegue a un público general, muy complejo. Yo lo pondría en grande entre los retos de futuro.
Fantástico. Mónica, you want to add something to that?
No.
I will just take out my hat of moderator again, pero sin duda la comunicación es uno de los grandes temas para nosotros. Cuando también estábamos preparando la nueva agenda urbana, hubo una voluntad muy fuerte de educar a la ciudadanía en conceptos urbanos que se dan por conocidos y sabidos y que no necesariamente es así. Entonces es muy difícil transmitir una transformación a largo plazo si no hay un concepto muy interiorizado sobre qué significa densidades, qué significa territorios, qué significa conectividad, qué significa proximidad. Entonces, ese esfuerzo es otro de los retos que se planteaba en la agenda urbana, en este caso en la global, pero es muy interesante ver cómo no se evoluciona tan rápido como en otros ámbitos, ¿no? Que sí que lo conseguimos como sociedad con el tema medioambiental, que en los años 80 no teníamos por qué conocer todos los aspectos que tenían que ver con el reto climático y, sin embargo, actualmente nos sentimos mucho más cómodos con algunos conceptos incluso muy científicos que somos capaces quizás no de entender al 100%, pero incluso de elegir a nuestros líderes en base a sus posiciones frente a un tema medioambiental. Y creo que ahí es un reto clarísimo que tenemos con el tema de la comunicación. Más allá de la comunicación a corto plazo, es un poco la formación, ¿no?, de nuestra ciudadanía en esos conceptos. Me quito otra vez el sombrero, pero mi propia reflexión de muchos años que yo creo que es algo que como sociedad tenemos que hacer, y es urgente, porque todo el mundo, ¿no? Y último ejemplo, la ciudad de los 15 minutos es un término marketingiano que en realidad ya existía antes. Ya todos hablábamos de proximidad, ya todos hablábamos de densidad, ya todos hablábamos de policentros, pero ha conseguido un concepto muy potente que interiorice muy rápidamente, la gente asocie. Entonces, este es el tipo de conexiones entre lo corto i lo largo transformador. I aquí. I ho deixo perquè no sé si la directora o el Marc, com hem fet a la primera sessió, voleu comentar alguna cosa. Marc, et devem la resposta a la primera, que la tenim aquí amb la Carme, però no sé, Nela, si voldries afegir alguna cosa.
Donar-te a tu les gràcies, Anna, moltes gràcies per la moderació, gràcies Carmen, thank you Monica and Nasir for your recommendation. And I was thinking about... Perdó.
Estàs com jo, és molt...
No, estava pensant en el tema de pressupostos i com fer que els projectes siguin finançats i com aquests pressupostos al final acaben sent de l'agenda urbana, però també han de ser de la gent que de la resta de departaments que els aporta, no? I llavors això teniu alguna mena de recomanació, com ho feu, és a dir, com es prenen la resta d'actors, que això també, o sigui, que aquest pressupost també siga part d'un altre projecte molt més gran. I si ho heu aconseguit comunicar bé.
Do you want to answer, or perhaps I give a couple of minutes to that, that you can think, and then, Marc, no sé si vols afegir alguna cosa.
Breument, jo crec que hi ha una qüestió que no sé si és replicable en els àmbits que hi ha en el panel, no? I que crec que nosaltres ens hem trobat una mica, que és això de la cosa urbana, no? A qui interpel·la les agendes urbanes? Interpel·la només a les ciutats, i a quines ciutats? A les ciutats grans, a les ciutats globals, a les ciutats petites, a les intermèdies. Ens hem trobat un problema, i ara m'hi fèieu pensar quan parlàveu de comunicació. Hi ha un problema en el naming, per entendre'ns, perquè quan nosaltres parlem d'agendes urbanes hi ha gent que se'n sent directament exclosa. I en canvi, no només exclosa, alerta, sinó que inclús a vegades sent una certa animadversió contra aquest concepte. És a dir, genera una reacció. A ningú se li escapa que els entorns urbans voten diferent, pensen diferent, tenen altres interessos i aquesta disjuntiva en els territoris es veu, no? Es veu. Els tractors venen a la diagonal, alguns pensaments polítics floreixen més en segons quines zones que en d'altres, és a dir, hi ha una certa cisma, podríem dir-ho, i el concepte d'agenda urbana a vegades pot generar aquests equívocs. Per nosaltres mai ho ha estat. Jo crec que des de la Generalitat de Catalunya i des del Departament de Territori, quan hem concebut l'agenda urbana sempre ho hem fet amb una vocació clarament territorial, entenent que el que dèiem al principi, l'urbà no acaba en els límits administratius o físics, però és difícil a vegades capil·laritzar aquest concepte, és difícil, no? Llavors jo no sé si vosaltres, en la vostra experiència, us heu trobat en aquest tipus de situació, una certa recança, una certa adversió, animadversió, contra el concepte d'agenda urbana.
Perfecte. I respondrem a aquesta, la d'aquest matí, que també parlaves de si les agendes són un corser, no? Una mica també parlaves d'aquest tema. Llavors, farem una barreja i després si tenim també una resposta per la directora. Carmen, no sé si quieres contestar un poco ambas y la de Mar de esta mañana.
Venga, vamos allá.
Vamos allá.
Bueno, empiezo por la de si las agendas son corsé o no son corsé. Para mí, si esa pregunta la haces 20 años atrás, te dirían que la forma de desarrollar el territorio es con la planificación territorial y los planes generales de ordenación urbana. Y ya está. Yo creo que aparecieron los planes estratégicos y este tipo de planificación de agenda urbana, etcétera, precisamente porque llegó un momento que se convirtieron en un corsé, por unos procedimientos demasiado lentos y demasiado poco bien adaptados a la realidad que se estaba viviendo. Si a día de hoy sentimos que la agenda es eso, es que algo no estamos haciendo bien, porque en realidad la agenda debería ser un látigo, debería ser la manera de innovar, la manera de introducir flexibilidad, creatividad en lo que está encorsetado. Entonces, si se siente como eso, lo mejor es llamarle plan de acción para lo que sea, cambiemos el nombre, porque no debe ser un corsé. Yo entiendo que esto que hacemos es ayudar a salir de la caja, como se suele decir, ¿no? Es intentar pensar de otra manera y actuar de otra manera. ¿Por qué? Porque es evidente que cuando introducimos marcos reguladores, marcos presupuestarios, procedimiento administrativo, etcétera, damos seguridad, pero al mismo tiempo lentitud. Y si algo tenemos hoy día claro es que esto va cada vez más rápido. Y el privado y la ciudadanía y todo el mundo va cada vez más rápido. Entonces, debemos utilizar, entiendo yo, por lo menos lo que nosotros queremos hacer es utilizar la planificación estratégica, la agenda urbana, el tondo de los 17 colores para decir, hay algo más importante que este procedimiento, que es que tenemos un planeta, que no hay planeta B, que requiere una transformación mental y la agenda, el tondo, el plan estratégico te llama a ti, no al ayuntamiento, no, te llama a ti como persona a cambiar. Entonces, yo creo que eso es lo que tenemos que conseguir y creo que ahí te responde un poco a la primera y a lo de la segunda. Y luego, ¿cómo hacemos eso? ¿Cómo unimos la financiación? ¿Cómo, vamos, en nuestra experiencia, al final, si tú tienes buenos proyectos, al final terminas consiguiendo que las administraciones le pongan prioridad, consigues que los actores se sumen a la iniciativa e incluso pongan dinero. En la transformación de Málaga, que ahora está tan de moda, cuando miras los números, realmente financiación pública es prácticamente un 15, un 20%. El resto es financiación privada. En el momento que tú haces algo que el privado comprueba que es bueno y que puede obtener un beneficio yendo en esa línea, al final son piezas que van cayendo una detrás de otra y hoy día sí tenemos, son listillos que van por el mundo viendo dónde están las oportunidades. Entonces, lo importante es desde la administración hacer el primer clic, que luego ya los listillos vienen solos. O sea que, en fin, nuestra experiencia es buenos proyectos activadores de algo. Eso es lo estratégico, identificar el proyecto que te va a activar. A partir de ahí, controlar y vigilar, porque los listillos crecen muy rápido.
Nasir, Mónica, you want to add something, Nasir, to the questions? Or?
I want to say that the cooperation with the UN bodies, I think it's good for donors for these projects, because it's our money, and if the cities come back, this money can really implement the projects at the city level. Before to use, I appreciated with the recycling project here in Barcelona, and I want to implement this projects in Amman city. I think they said that in Barcelona about 60,000 euros comes to the municipality from the recycling. We have in Amman city recycling, but not have rules, not have instructions. GAM want to implement a project to give the recycle of the solid waste as an important, but really it needs instructions, it needs rules. In Amman, workers or the sanitary workers collect the metals and pay to the companies of iron by themselves. If this project implemented by GAM, I think it get back or it has a good amount of money for the city.
Thank you. Monica.
Yes, very shortly. I think that the two questions are strictly related. So I will say that in our experience, the urban agenda has been an opportunity. And this is true because it gives the possibility to implement, to do, and to make things happen. About the boundaries of the urban agenda, inclusion, exclusion of territories, there's a great debate in Italy at present on this fact. Because it is true that urban agenda and talking about urban, you make reference to a specific, some characteristics of an area, but they must be considered within the general structure of that country. So I think that there are similarities and differences between the urban agenda in Italy and Spain and France and so on. Once I have said that, the debate today in Italy is how to preserve people in the territory. Because if you have only main attractors, you have lands and areas that are not presidiated where climate change can make really the difference. So it's important to have people in that place. And if you want to do that, you need to have a strategy. Maybe not the urban strategy, but maybe in Italy they are called inner areas strategy, because inner area are different from urban areas because population and so on, but you need a strategy. You need to keep people in that places. I just had I was in a meeting a few weeks ago. We were talking about this this topic, how to keep people in that places. We were in Lombardy. You know, Lombardy is a very wealthy and strong from the economic point of view. We were not so far from Milan, and it's a very productive area, manufacture. The director of the Polytechnic of Milan was there to say, if you don't find a way to keep your youth in here, and so if you don't have quality of administration and schools and keep your youngest here, in 10 years now you won't have industrial, you will lose younger, because it's very easy to take and go where there's more appeal. So it's a debate to monitor.
Thank you so much. I think I have to apologize to all of you because there is no time for questions, and I promise that there will be time, but my apologies. You can today blame me. I hope you have enjoyed. I will not even intend to do any conclusions because Josep will be here. So thank you so much. It has been a pleasure. Thank you for all the burning, and thank you so much. Mark, all yours.